Sometimes life does not change through a grand event. Sometimes one sentence, one realization, one quiet evening of honesty is enough to shift the way you see everything that follows. That was what happened to Thảo. Sitting alone at her desk while warm, late sunlight touched the edge of her notebook, she wrote down one truth that changed the atmosphere of her whole life. Not everything that asks for my energy deserves it. Thảo had been tired in a way she could not explain clearly. She was doing many normal things, working, replying, showing up, keeping life moving. And yet, she often ended her days with the strange feeling that too much of her inner life had been spent on things that left nothing beautiful behind. Small dramas, emotional overmanagement, the pressure of other people's expectations, repetitive thoughts, conversations that kept taking more than they gave. Nothing was catastrophic, but the emotional leakage was constant. It happened in little ways. A message she kept replaying in her head, a minor misunderstanding that took over an entire evening, the habit of mentally carrying other people long after the interaction had ended, the inability to let certain things remain small. She was not living in crisis, but she was giving too much of herself to what did not deserve that much room. That evening, she sat at the desk and let the quiet settle around her. The room was touched by a warm, slanting sunlight that made everything feel momentarily softer. The pen, the curtain, the wood grain beneath her hand. Without planning to, she wrote, "What keeps draining me that should not have this much power?" The answers came quickly. Minor tension, unclear messages, imagined judgments, people who do not know how to be direct. My own habit of mentally carrying things too long. The need to make everything emotionally complete. She stared at the list for a while. It felt accurate in a way that made her almost laugh. Not because it was funny, but because the truth had been so visible for so long. So much of her exhaustion did not come from life's biggest burdens. It came from letting small things expand until they took over whole rooms inside her mind. She turned the page. What truth would change everything if I really believed it? She waited longer before answering this time. Then she wrote, "Not everything that asks for my energy deserves it." The sentence landed with unusual force. She read it again and again. There was freedom in it, also responsibility. Because if that sentence was true, then much of her tiredness was not inevitable. It was shaped by what she was allowing, expanding, rehearsing, protecting, and emotionally feeding. The room felt quieter after she wrote it, as though something inside her had finally named the real problem. It was not that life demanded too much in every direction. It was that she had not yet become selective enough with her inner attention. She wrote beneath the sentence, "Some things can remain small. Some questions do not need to be solved tonight. Some people are not mine to emotionally manage. Some discomfort is better left uncomplicated. Peace requires filtering, not just endurance." The late sunlight deepened into amber along the page. Thảo could feel the shift inside herself, not dramatic but unmistakable. A life-changing lesson does not always arrive with noise. Sometimes it arrives as a sentence so true that everything around it begins rearranging quietly. That evening, she experimented with the lesson in very ordinary ways. She left one message unanswered until tomorrow. She refused to mentally rehearse a conversation that had already ended. She let one unresolved thing remain unresolved. She closed the notebook and sat in silence for a few minutes, noticing how much space opens up when you stop giving every minor disturbance a throne. Over the next days, the sentence followed her gently. Not everything that asks for my energy deserves it. She carried it into conversations, into her phone habits, into the pause between thought and reaction, into moments where she used to overinterpret, overcarry, or overgive. And the more she practiced it, the more life changed shape. Not because the world became less demanding, because her inner doors became wiser. She stopped letting everything inside, and what remained had more room to breathe. Life-changing lessons are not always dramatic. Sometimes they are simple enough to fit on one line in a notebook, simple enough to sound almost obvious. But when you truly live them, they alter the atmosphere of your days. A quiet room, warm light on the desk, one sentence that reorganizes the heart. Not everything that asks for your energy deserves it. If you believe this deeply, your evenings change, your boundaries change, your peace changes. Your mind stops turning every knock at the door into an invitation. And suddenly, life has more room for what is real. Not because you became harder, because you became clearer. If this reached you, comment, "My energy is sacred." Subscribe for more warm, reflective life stories about peace, clarity, and quiet transformation.